Well, hello there, and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. My name is Mpho and I'm joined by Tim Delace, who's a co-host of the show in Cape Town. I heard it was raining in Cape Town this week. Tim, how are you doing?
It was a rather a lot, which is good. No, we needed it. We needed it. All good.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Remember, we're your South Africa's cricket podcast. We cover all things South African cricket, domestic cricket, all the way up to international cricket, to the Proteas men and women. And we also do interviews, and that's what today is all about. So we're going to get to that. But remember, you can follow us on the Full Quota Pod on X. You can subscribe on YouTube. If you're watching on YouTube now, just lower your cursor, press the red button, and you'll know when we go live. Like today, when we are live, because we're not only a Monday show, we're a Monday and sometimes a Thursday show, and sometimes maybe even on a Tuesday, depending on breaking news. But how will you know if you don't subscribe? That's the whole point of that. And then for you audio lovers, we've also got the show on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Please search for Full Quota Podcast. And then finally, please do support us by buying us some coffee. It's a way to help us keep the show going. It helps us keep all of this going. We do this for the love of cricket, but we don't. You can't eat the love of cricket on a plate. So any and all contributions are appreciated in that regard at buymeacoffee.com/full quota podcast. Yeah, today's an interesting day, Tim. It's the first day of Test cricket in the winter time for us. Zimbabwe going through the most against England today, but it's also all season for us, and so it obviously gives us time to have an interview. And we recently had the SA Women's Emerging Tour to Bangladesh. The men also went there too, but today we're going to be talking about that women's tour with one of the batters there. Tim, who do you have?
We have somebody that, if you've been listening to the podcast, Mpho has been suggesting that she should be in the Proteas side with immediate effect. She hasn't quite made it, but she's getting there. She is getting very, very close. Someone that we have mentioned a lot, who's been dominating the Women's Professional League for the last 2 seasons. And her story is a fascinating one. I won't give anything away just yet. I'll let her do that for us. It's Dolphins batter Alex Candler.
Yes, it's Alex Candler. She was #1 run scorer last season in the Hollywoodbets Pro Series. And Alex, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Sure. It's amazing to have you, because I think we've been following your results and we've been asking many questions as to why, how close are you to the national setup? And we saw that you went in the emerging tour, but we're going to talk a little bit about that. I think for us, the question we always ask all our guests is, how did you get into cricket? What spurred on that love for the game and obviously led you to being a professional?
Yeah, so it was quite an interesting start to my cricketing career. I never really played cricket at school. Just a bit of mini cricket in grade 3 with a softball. And then I actually went away from cricket after that. I played tennis, soccer, hockey, you name it, at school. And then grade 7, I was messing around in the nets at school. And the first team cricket coach saw me doing that and was like, come and join a few practices. And I ended up playing for the second team the next weekend, and then the following weekend, the first team. So, yeah, that's basically how it started. And then carried on playing through high school. Played at Inland. I'm originally from the Inland region. So played for Inland, and then made the SA Under-19 squad twice. Picked up a sponsor as well during that time. And then once I finished school, I moved to the Dolphins. And I think that's been very successful for me so far.
So that's amazing.
Awesome. Give us a little bit of that insight, that transition from the inland to the Dolphins, from semi-professional to now fully professional competition. Just give us an insight of how that's been and how different it is now that you're playing fully professional cricket.
Yeah, so I don't think you can really compare the levels. I mean, top six being professional, it's really on a different level to the division. I think it's Division 1. But yeah, I think I took kind of a risk moving. I wasn't really losing anything. I wasn't really gaining anything. At the time, I wasn't going to be contracted. But just to have some game time at that level, and I think it's sad, but I think that Division 1 league is not growing women's sport. I think top six, you grow a lot more as a cricketer and as a person. So it was definitely a risk, as I wasn't going to be contracted the first season at the Dolphins. I played almost every single game in the first season. Managed to score, my highest score was a 95 not out in a T20 game, and I think that opened a lot of eyes, not just within the Dolphins Union, but nationally. And from there, second season, got a high performance contract. And then halfway through that second season, they brought about the professional setup. So halfway through, I think it was about October, I was sitting with a decent professional contract. So overall, happy with the move. Very successful for me. And yeah, professional sport is amazing. I've enjoyed it so far. It's challenging in many ways, but yeah, I've enjoyed the journey.
Awesome.
You've been a prolific batter over the last 2 years. This end season you were number one in the Pro 15. You top five in 20, as well as last season you're in the top five run scorers there. Do you find batting easy? Because every time I look at you batting, I just sit there going, it seems to come easy to her, but how do you how does it come so easy to you?
I wouldn't say it's easy. It's difficult. I think you get one chance as a batter, you nick off, and that's you done for the day. But just I think I've worked a lot on the technical side of things with private coaches and the coaches at the Dolphins, who have been amazing. I've grown in leaps and bounds because at inland I was more of a bowler, bowled a lot more, batted. I didn't open the batting there, batted like 4 or 5. So I've definitely had amazing coaches that have developed my skill set as a batsman. But yeah, it's definitely not easy. For me, it's just about staying as consistent as I can. There's going to be days where you score 5, days where you score 100, but for me, just kind of trying not to let it go up and down and trying to stay as consistent as possible.
Oh, that sounds as if you've got a very clear idea of what you want to do, which is good to hear from someone so young. But just on that, your journey surprises me a little bit, because if I'm not wrong, your father was a decent cricketer in his time. So why was it why do you think it took a little bit longer than some people for you to find cricket? Was it that you were not interested, or what was happening there in your life at the time? Why do you think it took, in terms of interest, a little bit longer, with the fact that your father was a good cricketer in his time?
Yeah, so funny enough, my dad actually played for the Rhodesian team back in the day. From a women's sport point of view, I grew up in a small town, Howick, where cricket for girls or for women was not a very big thing. I think in grade 3, when I started playing softball cricket, I was one of the only girls, if only the only girl. So yeah, that never like encouraged me to go towards a male-dominated sport. It was always tennis, hockey. Played a bit of soccer later on in my school career. So I think once I started playing for the first team, it was kind of okay. Women can actually play the sport and are included. And then during high school, I think when I made the SA under-19 side, that was it for me. That just showed me that showed myself and others that I had the ability to actually compete within the sport and amongst other women that were playing at the time. So I think it came down to well, in junior school, you kind of follow or go with what your friends do. None of my friends really played cricket, so I think that had to do a lot with it. But yeah, as I said, once I made that SA under-19 side, it kick-started a interesting cricketing journey so far.
That's amazing. And you mentioned obviously there's been people along the way in your cricketing journey that have helped you get to where you are. Who has been the biggest influence in helping you get to this point?
Sure, there's been a few people. If I had to choose one who's had the biggest impact, it would probably be my dad. Yeah, from playing in the garden at home to mini cricket to playing first team, then to SA under-19, then to the Dolphins. He's been there through it all, through thick and thin, and he's always supported me, as well as my entire family. And then if I had to just add a few people, it would probably be my junior school coach, Ashley Sugalu. He identified me in the nets and invited me to those practices, which I ended up playing in the first team. Then during high school, it was the director of cricket, Mr. Ishmael Kaji. He actually sent me to inland trials, and that's how the whole inland journey started. And then current coaches, Angelique Tai. I have a batting consultant, Shafika Pillay, and a private coach, Brad Moses. And then another very important person is my sponsor. I managed to get an incredible deal in Matric from PR and Solly M. So a huge thank you to Imtiaz from Solly M. But yeah, as with every cricketer, there's always a circle behind the person, not just one. So those are just a few people who have influenced and been there through the journey so far.
And it's beautiful. It really is. It really is. It gives you a good indication that you've had the right kind of people at the right time to bring out your natural talent that we see on a regular basis for the Dolphins. I guess your journey definitely touched on, as we've touched on, the differences between the amateur and the professional. But how important was that sponsorship that you mentioned, to have that sponsorship behind you, knowing that if it doesn't happen tomorrow, I've got the sponsorship to keep me going, and when it happens, everything clicks into place. How important was that?
Yeah, I actually got DM'd on Instagram out of the blue. In Matric, Imtiaz offered me a full sponsorship with PR, and then on the side a deal with Solly M. And it was huge. I mean, cricket equipment these days is very expensive. Like getting 4 bats a season is amazing. and 8 pairs of gloves or whatever it is. But yeah, I think that also gave me a sense of encouragement and the belief in my own ability that someone backs me and is going to support my journey, not just for a few years, but long term. And the support hasn't changed. It's been consistent throughout the 5 6 years of 7 years, 5 or 6 years I've been with them. So yeah, it's amazing to have that kind of support behind you, and yeah, he's become an amazing friend, as well as a great sponsor. So that's a really positive part of the journey.
Yeah, no, that's it's amazing to always have support like that, and just to free up your mind of to just focus on cricket, which is the main thing. Let's talk about your last two seasons, as I think that's when you know became the leading run scorer in your team, and led your team to the various um, trophies. I think you guys won the Pro 50 last year, came close this year as well. And then obviously this year you were number one run scorer, so that is amazing. Um, was it a was it a combination of all the hard work that you were doing? What was the shift in the side? Obviously, you're in this Dolphin side. You're a youngster. Obviously, there's a lot of senior players around you, Proteas and the like. And then obviously, you're walking in there. Um, just take us through that journey last season as you were discovering that you could be a key contributor to this Dolphins women setup, and a key reason to why they actually ended up winning.
Sorry, can you repeat the last part of the question? You broke up a bit there.
Sorry. What I was saying was just what how did you work with the progress of you moving from being a youngster in the side to then being a key contributor to the side that led to ultimately the team winning and you being the leading run scorer in at the Dolphins?
Yeah, I think from the start, I've been backed by the coaching staff, the players. At first, no one really knew of me. Obviously, coming from inland, not really being a batter, but more of a bowler. I took on a big role of opening the batting, and I think I grew in leaps and bounds with the batting side of the game. But yeah, just to have the likes of some of the Proteas that we have in our squad, I think they led from the front, and it was easy as a youngster to filter in and follow in their footsteps. So yeah, great teammates, great support staff, and yeah, I'm enjoying my role at the Dolphins. More of a batting role at the moment. Things could change. We never know. With the past performance at the emerging tour, but yeah, overall, just thankful to and grateful to have a team coaching staff who back me.
And that's very important. It's important to have everyone in alignment with your career. You touched on the SA emerging there. Okay, so I would imagine it's your first time in Bangladesh. Just take us through you being announced in the SA emerging team. What were your thoughts going onto the tour? What were you looking to do? And then your overall thoughts of the tour from a team and a personal perspective.
Yeah, so I got the message from selectors mid-April. I think, yeah, mid-April. And I think it's been a long time coming for me personally. But I think just for me being grateful to get the call up. Not everyone can play at the highest level, so just grateful to get the call up. Bangladesh was mentally and physically very challenging. I mean, the heat is one thing on its own. The food's different. The whole it's yeah, the whole country is just completely different to South Africa. The conditions very slow, similar to Durban, but I would say a little bit more difficult than Durban. So lucky enough, coming from Durban, I was well equipped to bat in conditions that turn a bit more and are a bit slower. But yeah, going into the tour, it's kind of my first tour, first experience at that level. So there were a few nerves, for sure. But I was looking to just grow as a cricketer, learn a lot from people in the space, like the Proteas that were in that team, as well as learn a lot from the coaches, which I did. Yeah, you obviously have to step up. There's a lot more pressure, a lot less room for mistakes. So I think overall, just an amazing learning experience, and to perform like I did in the last game was just, well, topped it off. I think it's one thing to just go and experience that level, but to actually contribute towards winning the series is something that was in the back of my head, but being a new experience, I knew was going to be difficult. So I think just grateful for the opportunity, and definitely learned a lot at the level and playing in different conditions.
Yeah, and that I think that your performance in that last game was really good, and it kind of felt like you were adjusting to the conditions as much as because it's probably one of the toughest places to bat in the world, especially
Yeah.
from where we come from. I know you mean you mentioned obviously Durban, and Durban's low and slow, but I'm sure the bounce there isn't as low as what you experience. Um, speaking around that, right? Obviously, you're in the setup. Um, what's the one thing you'll take away from the tour that you will apply going forward?
I think a big thing is it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And I think I didn't start well at all, especially with the bat. Took a few wickets and a good catch, but I didn't start very well off with the bat. Then was dropped for 3 games, which wasn't really disheartening or anything because I still learned a hell of a lot on the bench. And then to come back in the last game and to just try and contribute and finish strong, I'll take those learnings for sure.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because I did wonder at the time what was going through your mind, because I saw that your start when you made 10 in the first game, and then the conditions are very, very tough. How challenging was that to not play in the in-between of the series? I'm so glad you played the last game, but was that a challenge, or do you embrace it like you embrace all the other challenges who've come to you so far?
Yeah, I think you have to stay positive and embrace that type of thing. I think I just said to myself, I am new to the setup, so getting 3 games is decent. I mean, being on the bench, you don't feel like you're not a part of the team. You still have to contribute in different ways. And I think just to kind of sit back and watch the game from the outside and pick up things regarding conditions and the way other batsmen kind of take on the conditions, as well as get to know the bowlers a little bit better from the opposition. But yeah, it was definitely a challenge to try and stay sharp. It kind of gave me a little bit of time in between at practices to change a few things. And then I think that last game just showed how I adapted, and it showed how much I had gained over the entire tour and learnt. And I think I put that all into my performance.
Absolutely. And it was very, very clear to see. As I say, I was delighted that you pulled off the performance in the last game to cap off a good tour. Studying is very important to you. I see that it's a very it's something that you're doing at the moment, and I think you've got a qualification already. How important is that for you while you are playing as a professional cricketer to keep that for when you eventually hang up your boots?
Yeah, sorry, I missed half of that question, but
So,
I'll just talk about what I am studying at the moment. So straight after school was the plan to study. I wasn't going to take a gap year or any of that. I do think it's very important to have something behind you. Contracts come and go, form comes and goes, so I think it's very important to have something behind you. So at the moment, I'm currently busy with a Bachelor of Science in Strength and Conditioning through Setanta College, an Irish university, who has a headquarters in Stellenbosch. So I'm currently in my third year, and it's a 4.5 year degree, part-time and very flexible. So I'm able to still carry on full-time with the cricket, and then on the side study a little bit.
Okay, that's really good. Education is really important, and to have something that you can fall back on is important. With your with obviously your performances and obviously SA Emerging, right? Was the SA Emerging call the first time you had a discussion with the selectors or with the national team setup, or throughout the was there communication around how what the pathway was for you to get to the highest level, the senior level, which is Proteas Women?
No, this was the first time. Yeah, I got the first message from the selectors for this emerging tour. I've never been to a camp or anything before then.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just to follow up on that, so obviously your runs are putting are making a bit of a noise. How do you manage that, right? In the essence that you are one of the best batters in the country, and it obviously in itself, you mentioned obviously you want to be consistent, you want to have that level head, but as you keep on scoring more, is there that ambition and drive to know that if you keep putting down the runs, there will be a call up from Mandla and the selectors that side?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the aim, just to keep a level head, keep working hard, and keep scoring runs. And hopefully, I'll have more of an opportunity with the ball these days, in the future. But yeah, I think I'm on my journey. Everyone else is on their journey. I think it's all different. We all at different stages. But I think if I just continue to do what I'm doing and keep growing and keep working hard, the Proteas will happen when it's supposed to happen.
Okay.
fantastic. That's a good attitude to have. A sort of a broad one from me. You did sort of touch on it at the start of our conversation. What do you think needs to happen for a closer alignment between the two divisions in women's cricket? Me and Mpho are big proponents of promotional cricket, both in the men's and the women's, but we do know there are lots of problems. So what do you think, in a general sense, could be done to bring the two closer together?
I think I've had this conversation with a few coaches. I think definitely there's a huge gap between the Division 1 and top 6. And I don't think I really know how to close that gap, but I think maybe if top 6 could become top 10 or top 8, and we get more players and more teams contracted, and then players who are left out of professional cricket or who are sitting on benches at different top unions can be filtered into those lower teams. I think that's what I've thought about so far. But yeah, if we could have like I have no idea actually how
No,
it's a difficult one.
that's
It's
no,
really
no.
difficult.
You answered it. You answered it perfectly. More
Yeah,
contracts, more exposure.
Mm.
That is essentially what we need. You're
yeah,
absolutely right.
Yeah.
I think more teams is certainly the easier option to choose.
Mm.
One more from me. What are your future plans? Are you a goal setter? Have you got things in the pipeline that you are aiming towards? Or you just take things as they come, a day at a time?
yeah. I do have a long-term goals and plans for the future, but I think for now I'm just taking it as it comes. Obviously, the next step is National Academy coming up soon. I think there are a few tours involved there as well. So
Mm.
just to expand on my game at that level, and to grow as much as I can, contribute as much as I can. And then future plans would obviously be to play for the Proteas. That's on the top of the list. And then to extend on that, maybe to play at in the 100, the Big Bash, the
Mm.
IPL. Yeah. So, but for now, it's focusing on National Academy and contributing as much as I can there.
Okay, and
Awesome.
that's really awesome, Alex. I think it's a good way to look at it, and I think you've got a great head on your shoulders, and I'm a massive fan of yours. I think you oh I think what we need at the top level, but obviously we understand that as you mentioned, everyone's got their own journey. You've got yours, right? And so we won't stop shouting from the rooftops to see if we can't get we people will listen to us, right? But I think one last one for me is obviously you play T20s and you play 50 overs, right? And in the women's setup, it's you play a 50 over on a Saturday and a T20 on a Saturday. How do you adjust to that? And then finally, do you also have ambitions to play Test cricket? Obviously, South Africa, the British played Test cricket recently, and it's something that we think we want it to grow in women's cricket.
Yeah, so so we play the 50 over on the Saturday and then the T20 on the Sunday. It's challenging because you're not. First of all, you have to be physically in shape to manage the load. And then secondly, you have to be able to adapt between the different formats. I think that's where a lot of players struggle. Definitely adapting from the 50 over game to the T20 game. I think if those were split and we played it similar to the men do, I think we'd get a lot more quality out of the cricket.
Mm.
And yeah, as a player, you can focus specifically to one format. And as a team, I think the team as well has to adapt to both formats. And then regarding Test cricket, yeah, I'd love to play that form. It's the highest level, or
Mm.
the most well-known format. So I mean, in the men's game, it's where you want to be. So I think to start 3-day games at provincial level as soon as we can would benefit that Test side immensely. And then yeah, just playing all three formats separately, I think would benefit cricket as a whole.
Yeah, look, yeah, I
We
think it
agree.
would. Yes, and we've spoken with the director of cricket, and we asked him to at least have one 4-day game with North South, right? And you have the best players of that season in Pro 50, give them a chance, and to bat twice, right? It's fascinating, right? You know the ability to right your wrongs from the first innings, or to better what you did in the first innings is something that shouldn't be only for the men, but it should also be for the women. I think it would really help that team. Alex, I think that's the end of the interview for us. What we want to say is all the best in this year. Keep piling on the runs. You seem to have a knack of scoring runs down there in Durban, so keep doing that. That call up will come, and keep focusing on the academy. And we'll be looking forward to having you on once you are a pro tier. The one thing about our podcast is a lot of people have come on here and have had their dreams come true. We had Sarel Avia here the one time, and I keep using Sarel because at the time he was Dean Alga's understudy, and he was not going to see the light of day. He was traveling with the team, but he needed an injury to get in, and he got his chance. And once he got his chance, he took it with both hands and the like. And Senran Mutusami as well, when we had him on the show, he didn't see a path to the Proteas men's side, but this time he's on his way to the World Test Championship next month. And to a certain extent, yourselves, right? It's frustrating for me because we can see the numbers and we can see this tape of how good you are. And what I want to say is just keep at it, keep that level head, and hopefully we can talk about you donning the green and gold soon, or maybe even the Test whites, because I think you have the talent and the technique to play Test cricket. And we need a group of strong batters in South Africa, and you're definitely one of those. So we want to wish you all the best, and thank you very much for giving us your time.
Yeah, thank you so much for the support. It's really appreciated, and thank you for having me on the show. And I look forward to being back in the future.
No, most definitely. We will call you when you score a double century in a 50-over game, because I think you have it in you to do that. So all the best, Alex, and have a nice day. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. Tim, I'm a happy man. Are you?
I am. I'll be happy when she's wearing, as you say, the green and gold. But in general, I'm happy. We've wanted to get Alex on for some time. And I think it's good to be got her on after the essay emerging. She's got a taste of what that next level is like. I think she's learned a lot of lessons in very tough conditions. I think the future is bright for Alex. Very, very bright.
Yeah, no, it is, and it's really good to hear from her. She's the number one batter in the Pro 50 this year. Top run scorer for the Dolphins last year in their winning effort for the Pro 50, and she's also racked up a lot of runs in the T20. So it's not going to be too long for her to make it through. And in that, you're adding another very good batter to that South African core, and then you can ask yourself, you can see beyond the next 10 years. As someone like Alex is someone you should be looking at being the spine of this women's side going forward. And so really, really good to hear from her and to hear, get an insight into her processes, into Bangladesh, how challenging it was. And I'm excited. Mandla, I might send this to you. I don't know, but you probably know this as well. But we are every squad from now on. We're going to be asking ourselves, why is Alex not there? But this year is a year for her of growth, of learning the setup and getting to know the setup. So hopefully, not so too long, she'll be making it in. I'm of the thought process of, if there's talent and talent is good, get them in. It's the whole one-day argument that everybody is crying about in the men's side, right? In the women's side, there's Alex, and it's a question of not if but when. And thank you to her for joining us. Tim, we'll be back on Monday, and I don't know what we're talking about, but we're gonna figure it out. All I'm gonna say is good luck to Zimbabwe. Please do something. Please do something. Scare them a bit. Like, you don't need to go out and win the game, but I hope you do. but like scare them, like remind them that you guys are really good. I enjoyed the opening spell from Ngarava and Blessing Muzarabani. But yeah, it's like the only cricket that's on these days. So we're going to be talking about that and other things on Monday. But yeah, Tim, yes.
Now, I was just going to say, watch the space. We've got interviews lined up. We've got things lined up. Next week will probably be SAA and SA emerging chat of some kind on Monday, I would imagine. But if we change our minds, you'll know by Monday.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us. Remember, follow us on X. If you like this and you are on YouTube, please do subscribe. If you're not on YouTube, go to YouTube and subscribe, right? All your support is greatly appreciated. So too in the audio space, Apple Podcast and Spotify, we're building a nice little army there. Thank you very much to all of those there. And then finally, please remember to buy us some coffee. I'm going to put it up on buymeacoffee.com/4 podcast to support us. Any and all contributions are appreciated. We are bringing you cricket content in the South African market for the South African game for you to follow. No longer will you worry now that you don't know an Alex Candler. You can come to this video and say, hey, this girl spoke so well and she scored all these runs in the domestic. She's deserved a call up. We don't want people to enter into that level without them being known. And so that's why we do these interviews, and your support is greatly appreciated in doing all of that. Outside of that, Tim, enjoy the rain. I'm going to enjoy the wind and the cold. Luckily, we're not going to be outside watching cricket when we're indoors with coffee and watching Zimbabwe and England do it. So cheers, my friend. And yeah, see you guys all on Monday. It's goodbye and lesale. Kakakis.